What's up, everyone? Just streaming on my own today. Just having a little fun with the stream today. Gonna do a couple things. Just trying to get used to my streaming software that I personally use. So when we do Spring Office Hours, I use something called Ecamm, and we use StreamYard. I'm using Ecamm for this, and so I'm just trying a couple things out today. So bear with me if you're joining in. Great. Please go ahead and say hello if you can. Whoops, here we go. Oh, my good buddy Thomas. Get the hang of this. So Thomas, hello. How's it going? Fernando, hello. How are you? The mic is louder. The music is louder than the book. Okay, that's good to know. That's what I'm messing around with. So let me know if that helped out a little bit. The music should be down a little bit now. I'm just trying to find like a background noise here. Let me know if that is a little bit better. Are you going to Spring I/O? I don't know. I did not. I did not get accepted. I don't know if they're done sending out acceptances yet. I saw that some people got theirs today. I did not. I only submitted a couple sessions though, so we'll see. Still hopeful. If anyone can let me know how the background music is, I want to make sure I turned it down a little. It should be a little bit lower. Still too loud, huh? Let's see. That is at a 2 on my level now, at least from a system audio standpoint. Weird. Oh, that's awesome, Thomas. I got accepted and we'll do a talk at Spring I/O. Congratulations. Hopefully I'll be there. If I am, we'll definitely check it out. Let's see if we can't figure out this audio. I mean, I know system audio wise, it's very low in my ears, but that doesn't matter to you. My broadcast here shows that it's on like a level of a 2. I wonder why it's so loud. It's my first conference and I'm super pumped and excited. Oh, you should be. That's awesome. First conference. Wow, that's awesome. I'm excited for you. What is your talk on, Thomas? I promise we're going to do a couple fun things today here on the stream. I'm just trying to get used to this. I'm going to check it out on my phone. That way I can find out. We might get a little echo, but that's okay. Yeah, I just checked it out on the phone, and the audio sounds good to me. So that's good to hear. I'm going to crank it up just a little, maybe like 204. Let's see if that sounds good. I'm using Epidemic Sound. I have an Epidemic Sound subscription that I use. So if you don't know, when you make YouTube videos or anything that you're going to like monetize online, you can't just use any music. If you do, you'll get a copyright violation and you won't be able to publish that music because the original artist is not getting paid for that. They are doing something with YouTube Music now where you can do that, but you have to pay like the artist. You can either pay like obscene amount of money, like $99 for a song, which I'm not going to use a song in like, I don't know, maybe I would, but, or you got to split revenue with the artist. And then for me, this isn't like TikTok style videos where music is driving the viewership of my videos. So music is more like a background thing for it. So you got to, if you can pay for royalty free music, which Epidemic Sound has. This is great for streaming as well. There's a bunch of playlists on there that I like. There's creator playlists, and Premiere Gal, who has a YouTube channel where you can like learn about editing. Since I figured we were going to talk a little bit about editing today, I'm using her playlist. So this is Premiere Gal's Editing Essentials. A lot of like old school hip hop, alternative hip hop, pretty cool stuff. So I'm enjoying this. All right. Thomas is speaking on rapid full stack development with Timeleaf and HTMX. Awesome. I know we were just talking about that yesterday on Office Hours, so we might see that again here in a clip. But cool. Excited. All right. All right, I'm going to... Well, first off, why is my fancy background not doing its thing? I had like a motion background. Let me know if you can see the motion in the back there. And I just want to bump this up a little. And let's see. Oh. Cool. Hey Dan, audio sounds good to me. That's great. Let's see, let's get this to like a black. I don't know why, I'm just trying to edit this. We're doing lots of stuff on the fly today here. That's okay. These comments don't look all that great on the background, so I'm just trying to fix that. Oh, there we go. Let's see, I'm going to try and fix the text here. Let's see if we can go with the JetBrains mono. Alright, that's a little better. It's weird that that is not like overlaying. The comments are being... They should be coming forward above the video, but they're not. So we'll just kind of leave them here for now. Dan, probably off topic. What are your thoughts on Lombok? That is not off topic. Anything goes here today, so just playing with a few things. So I used to love... Actually, let me turn this down just a little. I was a big fan of Lombok for the longest time. And if I was... So I would say this prior to Java 17, or if I'm using like Spring Data JPA. Prior to that, if I was still writing code on a daily basis, then I would go ahead and hold on one second. If I was still writing code every day, I would say that Lombok is a great choice. So it adds like a lot of those shortcuts, those annotations that kind of cut down on the verbosity of code. Now for me, I don't, what I'm doing every day is, yes, I'm writing code, but I'm also teaching. And when it comes to teaching, I took this back from when I was at a coding boot camp. Lombok was great, but it got in the way for new students. So if you're just like learning Java for the first time, Lombok wasn't great because like I want you to understand like how to use your IDE and generate those getters and setters. I want you to understand like what that code is and what it's doing before you try and take shortcuts. So when we were at the coding bootcamp, I kind of completely cut that out of the curriculum. Like, don't use Lombok. And again, it wasn't because it was a bad thing. It was because in that perspective, like I didn't want students using it. That, and there's like an IDE integration to that, right? Like you have to enable annotation processing for that to work. And it's just like something else that they had to do to like set things up, right? So I kind of went away from that there. And then in everyday stuff that I'm teaching, again, if it's one less step that I have to teach someone, then I'm going to take that because I don't want to distract from the main point of the video. So if I have to like walk through a video and go, oh, now if you've never seen Lombok, this is what Lombok is, this is what it's doing, here's how you set it up in your IDE, then you know that's a distraction from what we're currently trying to talk about. So that's why I avoid it in teaching new students, in tutorials, because it's just a distraction. Now, if you're in everyday coding, great, use it. But again, even today, with something like Java 17, I don't really need it because now I'm using records for a lot of my data carrier classes, so I'm not using it there. So I know I've gotten that question a lot, and people like seem to like get angry with me. Like, why do you hate Lombok? And I don't hate Lombok. I just, for the situations that I'm using it for, I don't use it. So I hope that answers your question. Hey Dan, should I learn Kotlin instead of Java? So instead of Java, my answer would be no. Should you learn Kotlin? That's a different question. I know Kotlin's big in the Android community. If you're developing Android applications, Kotlin could definitely be something you should learn, especially if the end goal is to get a job. I know a lot of Android shops use Kotlin. I'm still in the camp of I haven't used Kotlin. We talked about this on Spring Office Hours yesterday. I don't use Kotlin, and it's not because I hate it or anything, just because I haven't seen a reason to use it. So if somebody in the comments wants to tell me why I should look at Kotlin, please do. If somebody wants to come on Spring Office Hours one week and talk to Deshaun and I and tell us why we should learn Kotlin, I'm all ears. I am not a technology hater of anything, but my time is limited. There are things I want to learn, and I just don't have a reason to learn Kotlin right now. So I hope that helps. All right. So I thought this is probably not going to be super helpful to a lot of people. I realize that. But I'm answering questions, and I'm basically here to test out my streaming software today. And I want to show you a process that I'm going through as a content creator. So again, not a lot of code today. We'll get into some code, but I want to get this streaming set up dialed in before we just go off and start writing code. Okay. Let me see. Can I shrink this? All right. It's all right. Today's going to be that chance for us to dial this in. Let me shrink this down a little and see if that helps. 24, save. All right. I'm actually starting to avoid Lombok 2. A few clicks on IntelliJ and auto-generate code. Classes will contain much more lines for sure, but you didn't have to write it. Then use templates. Yeah, so I'm kind of in that camp as well. John Freddy 15. Once you get very good at your IDE, those things that used to bother me don't bother me as much anymore. I first started using Lombok because, yes, these like data carrier classes, they were just so verbose. It was just like, wow, all this code to like do something simple. Lombok fixed that because you just use a couple annotations. But then I was like, okay, I'm pretty fast at going through my IDE now and generating those getters and setters and toStrings. So that also is kind of what clicked for me. It was like, all right, now I can just kind of use the IDE, use templates whenever I need them. Those things help out a lot. So I'm with you there. Thanks, pretty clear. I use it, Lombok, but true that about Java 17. I love Java 17. I love Java in general. Modern Java is really great. So cool. Thanks for everyone for joining me. We see I have a bunch of people here. This is, if you're just joining us, I'm testing out some streaming software for just kind of my everyday streams. So when I do a show every week with my friend Deshaun, if you don't know, called Spring Office Hours. So if you want to check that out, springofficehours.io, you can see past recordings there. But I'm just practicing everyday streaming with different software and music and graphics, and we're just having some fun today. I'm going to cut up some video. Maybe that's interesting to somebody. Maybe that's not. We'll see. Hey Dan, I'm coming from a non-computer science field, and I have been learning Java as part of my career migration. Awesome. Would you recommend me do the Oracle Java 17 certification? Great question. And I've wanted to do a video, like a short or long form video on this question. So let's kind of collect our thoughts on this topic today. So my answer to are certifications worth it is unequivocally yes, but they may be for different reasons than you expect them to be. So let's start with certification. Like, what is a certification? Certification is usually some piece of paper, some acknowledgement by the company providing the certification that you do, in fact, know what you're talking about when it comes to subject X. Usually you have to pay for it, and that's a good thing. If they were free, then people would just like go through them over and over and over again until they got it and wouldn't really prepare for them. So I like that there's kind of a barrier on it, and it makes you make that commitment to it. So I like that. Now, if you're getting a certification to get a job, great. I know if you go out and look at particular jobs, they may require you to have a certification. I don't know of any that I've seen, and believe me, I've done some hunting over the last few years, and even in the boot camp when I was helping students look. I don't think I've ever, I won't say ever, I don't see a lot of Java jobs saying you must have an Oracle 17 certification to get this job. That is not true for all industries. There are a lot of industries where, hey, you have to have these 3, 4, 5 certifications to get this job. So if it's a must, it's a no-brainer. Go get the certification. If it's a nice to have, I still think it's a really good thing to go do. And let me caveat this with saying I have 0 certifications, but I also have a bit of a drive to learn. It's kind of what keeps me ticking. So when I say that it may help you out, it's because even if that isn't the thing that gets you the job, maybe it's on your resume. Maybe somebody sees that and go, wow, okay, this person took the time to go through the Oracle certification. That shows me some initiative. It also shows me that, yeah, in fact, you probably do know what you need to know about Java. But again, to me, as someone who's been on the hiring end of things, it's, yes, this person took the initiative, paid for a certification, whether it was yours or through work did it. You took the time to prepare for that certification and you passed it. So from an interviewer's perspective, I like that. I like seeing it on a resume. For you alone, I think it's great because it gives you a reason to prepare for something and learn something. If if I just told you to go learn Java 17, like you have no direction there, right? But when it comes to a certification, there are practice tests out there. These are the things that you're probably going to be tested on. So these are the things that you should really learn. So it's kind of, I'm a runner. I like running. So it's kind of like running a race. Like I'm training for a half marathon. I could probably go run a half marathon tomorrow if it was nice out. But what the training for the half marathon does is make sure that every day I have a goal in mind and that I'm putting in those reps every day to get to that race. So just the fact that like you're going to take a certification test 3 months from now, every day you have that in your head and you're putting in the reps of learning Java. So there are no downsides to getting certified unless it's a lot of money out of your pocket that you can't afford. That I understand. So yes, big fan of certifications. And Tanashi, I hope you go get that certification. Definitely worth doing. Hey Dan, good day. Pad 5, thank you. Good day to you. I wish this would automatically stay centered. Can we find a way to do that here, Ecamm? Let's see. I bet you that's why people put it over here, because it probably stays here and then goes across the screen. Let's try that. Could you tell us what a proper learning path for microservices is? Yeah, let's talk about that. So, okay, so first, the proper learning path. So first you have to be building monolithic applications with whatever language. So let's just use Spring because I'm a Java and Spring developer. You have to have some experience with building monolithic applications in Java and Spring. Because at the end of the day, rarely are you going into a project and saying, this is a set of microservices. At some point or another, this monolithic application, you realize could be broken out into microservices for whatever reason. Like I have a piece of functionality in this monolithic application that needs to scale up and down way more than the rest of this application. Or I have a UI that's tied to my backend and I can't change my UI without, redeploying the entire application. Let's pull the UI out of this. So there are reasons why. And I think that's one of the biggest things first. There's a really great book, and I'm sorry, I'm going to turn and find this on my bookshelf. There's actually a couple of these. This is one of my favorites, but I don't know if you could see that. Fundamentals of Software Architecture by Mark Richards and Neil Ford. I have a couple of their books, and I think like taking a look at understanding microservices architecture in general is a good first step before you even worry about the language. Understanding why we build microservices and understanding that the word microservices has kind of become synonymous with distributed architecture these days, and that's not the only way to build a distributed architecture. So first, being able to identify what should be a microservice is a whole skill in and of itself. So I would say that first, understanding like what belongs in a microservice. When do you tear down a monolithic application and put it into a microservice is a good starting point. From there, now that you know that this needs to be a microservice, what is a microservice? A microservice is an independently deployable artifact that you can, that in the case of a microservice has its own database. You can, again, build other distributed architectures that have a shared database, for instance. But in this case, a microservice has its own database. So once you know how to build monolithic applications in, say, Java and Spring, you know how to build microservice applications. They're just independent services. What the pros and cons of kind of microservice architecture is with the distributed nature of this application comes some challenges. So you have to have things like service discovery, like, hey, I have all these different services. They need to talk to each other somehow. So service discovery is a big thing in the Spring Cloud world. We have Spring Cloud Eureka. So that'll allow you to like find other services. You have the ability to communicate with other services. Do you call them via like some client, like a REST template or a web client, or are you using something like Kafka or RabbitMQ to use event-driven architecture, right? So once you have all these different services, communicating between them becomes an issue. You have things like Spring Cloud config, which allows you to have like a central configuration for all of your microservices. You need to learn things like gateways. So a gateway is typically sitting in front of all your microservices, handling the traffic that comes into them, so that you can have cross-cutting concerns in one place, like logging and observability and security, and a single entry point into all of your different microservices. So there's a lot. That's a loaded question. Where do I get started with microservices? Those are my initial thoughts, but I am going to take that and run with that and see if I can't come up with a better answer for you. But those are kind of the initial thoughts off the top of my head. Hope that helped. Thank you for the response. You are welcome. Thank you for joining. Dan, saw some Angular videos in your channel. Did you quit Angular? No, I didn't quit. So I used to, so I did a course with my friend John Thompson on full stack Angular and Spring Boot. And I didn't quit it. I just used it a lot more at one point. Big fan of Angular. It was really great in kind of the enterprise space. I even used it as a little bit over a year ago. So I was in a consultant company that was heavily into Angular. And there were a lot of really smart people that are using Angular. So I'm a big fan of Angular. I got into coding bootcamp at Tech Elevator, and we chose Vue as the front-end framework that we were going to teach as part of the curriculum. And the reason for it was pretty simple. So at the time, Angular, React, and Vue were kind of the big three. Vue was actually still coming on a little bit at that time. So we only had 14 weeks with students. They're learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a front-end framework. They're learning Java, Spring, testing, and building a final capstone project. So not a lot of time to teach someone stuff. So when we get into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, they just learn JavaScript. What's the easiest framework to get them into? And the answer was Vue, because Angular, if you're going to teach someone Angular, they got to learn TypeScript. So these students just learned JavaScript. So trying to throw TypeScript on top of that was just too much in that short of time. So that was the reason we didn't use Angular. The reason we didn't use React is because of JSX. It's like, again, students just learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Trying to show them what JSX is, it's a little bit mind-blowing, right, when you first look at it. So that's why we went with Vue. And honestly, I just fell in love with Vue. Vue is very simple. I love coming from my Angular days, I love the single file components of Vue. Everything's like one place. I don't have 3 different files for one thing that I'm working on. So I was a big fan of that. And I've just been using it ever since. No hate towards Angular. Just my preference these days is Vue. Big fan of Angular. Yeah, nothing wrong with Angular. Great. Thoughts on Hilla? I have not used it. We keep talking about it, and I'm going to get around to doing that. I just put out a poll on Twitter yesterday, so if you are not following me on Twitter, do so. Twitter.com/TheRealDanVega. I just put out a poll like, hey, what do you want to learn? I've been getting a lot more requests for front-end work, for front-end tutorials. So I think my poll question was between, hey, do you want to learn more Angular, Vue, and React, or HTML, CSS, and Tailwind, or I can't remember what the other option was, or just build stuff. But Hilla, Vaadin, those are also things that I want to add in there. HTMX, Timeleaf. So what I thought about this morning was I want to start building a series called WTF, What the Front End. I'm sure that's not original. That's what I tweeted out this morning. I know this is not original, although I did buy whatthefrontend.dev just for the heck of it, because I like to hoard domain names. I don't know about you guys, but I have lots of domain names that I don't use. So I'm going to start a series called whatthefrontend.dev, and we'll just start going through all this stuff. So we'll do a lot of introductory stuff first, like what is Hilla? And that'll give me, these are ways that I learned. Like I haven't used Hilla before, so I'm going to learn it and then teach it back to you. And while we're on that subject, I think people tend to think that you need to be an expert on something to teach it, and that's not true at all. I may know things, I may know a little bit more about a subject than you, but when it comes to things like Hilla and teaching it back to somebody who's never used Hilla, whenever you're teaching somebody, you just need to be one step ahead of where they are. And that's usually the best place to be, because you can relate to that person's frustrations. You know exactly where they are. You know what they need to be learning and what level they want to be at. So if that's ever stopped you from teaching, don't let that stop you from teaching. Just get one step ahead of where you're trying to teach, someone, and you can teach that. So what the front end, I'm going to put together a list of things I want to teach there. Again, when I can find some time. I'm trying to find a way to clone myself. I have not figured that out yet. What's a good way to get a REST front end for a portfolio project? I couldn't find any info online. Can Timeleaf handle this? Yeah, Timeleaf can handle it. I know Thomas is in here. Timeleaf and HTMX. If you haven't used HTMX, you can do that. If you just want to write like a static, so you could, especially in Spring, you can write a static HTML page. I include Vue in a lot of my static projects. I have a full stack video on Spring on how to basically use Vue in a Spring Boot project. You can drop in a Vue script, a single file script, to go ahead and use that there. HTMX is a great option. Vanilla JavaScript if you want to. So yeah, there are a lot of ways to do that. Do me a favor though, reach out to me on Twitter, DM me, and let me know exactly what you're trying to do. Maybe I can help out there. I plan to pick up a new language. What's your recommendation? So what language do you know now? Do you know any languages? What are you doing now with that language? And what's your reason for learning a new language? So I guess those would be my question. Learning a new language is great. I myself am learning Rust right now. I just built the quintessential Hello World on Saturday night, so that was fun. And that's actually the cut that I'm making here in my video. So can you explain what you prefer to use when implementing utility methods in Spring Boot app, static methods, or independent class, and instantiate that class as a bean and inject it everywhere you need? That is a good question. So I'm trying to think of, whenever I hear the word utility methods, I scratch my head and go, is this really a utility method, right? So you shouldn't be writing string utility classes. There are lots of helpers out there that can do that for you. In fact, there are some really good, there's a good helper class in the Spring framework that can help you. And actually look in the Spring framework, there are some utility classes in there that are kind of unknown, that are good, that I've used before. But when I hear the word utility, what are you using the utility class for? there's probably a better way to do that. There's probably like a better way to group that functionality. If you can avoid it being a static method, then I would. I think I just like having, it just depends what that. I guess I would need a more concrete example of what you're trying to do, because normally I'm just grouping related functionality into a class, and I don't know that I'm really calling it a utility class. But I also like the idea of being a method in a class for testing purposes. I know you can get around some things and test some static methods, but I don't like doing that. So I think for testability reasons, I would probably put it in a class. Is gRPC a topic we will watch on this channel in the near future? I don't know about the near future, but future, yes. Thanks for the answer. Really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. What are your thoughts on using UUIDs as primary keys performance-wise? So I'm not a database expert. I know Vlad is out there somewhere saying don't do it. So I typically, Vlad knows his stuff, so I would listen to him. I did a thread where you can use, so Spring Boot 3 is now using Jakarta EE 9 and 10, 10 where it can. And so I did a video on the new Jakarta EE UUID type for the generation strategy. And so you can use UUID as a generation strategy now in something like Spring Data, JDBC, JPA, whatever. And a lot of the comments I got back were great, but don't do that as a primary key in a database. And I said, okay, I'm not going to pretend to be the expert there. The people that the responses that I read and the articles that I read on the subject say don't do it. So there's that. I know it also depends on the database that you're using. So like with Postgres, I think it's okay. I know with like SQL Server, Oracle, probably bad ideas, but I'm gonna say proceed with caution and do your own research on that. Go Rust, Java, Kotlin, or Python. Again, depending on what you're trying to do. I'm a big Java fan, so I'm gonna say Java. But Rust looks like a really interesting language. If you're getting into a lot of data science and machine learning, Python's a great language. Go, great language. You can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong there. Thanks again. I also like when I can group methods whenever I can. Cool. Okay, so again, we're just here having a little fun today. I am going to pause my music because we are going to try something else here. We are going to have some fun. Let's try and do this. All right, that is not what I was going for. Let's say that. Cool. I'm catching up with your Spring Boot crash course. Is there any chance to make something with GraphQL and Webflux? Yeah, I could definitely add that to my kind of backlog. So if you didn't know, I do have some GraphQL tutorials on the channel, but they're mainly Spring MVC related. But yeah, I could definitely make something on that. So again, today is just me having a little fun, testing out the stream software. Please let me know in the comments if everything looks okay, if it sounds okay. We just had a spring office hours yesterday, and I thought it'd be interesting, again, to kind of go off topic for a minute and just talk about like content creation in case anyone's interested in it. I take the spring office hours and I try to chop it up into like YouTube shorts and put the shorts on the channel as well. So I thought this would be fun to just kind of go through for a minute. Again, if it's not something you're interested in, I completely understand. I won't make you don't have to stick around. This is, again, me testing out this stream just to make sure everything is okay. So I have this, I use Premiere Pro. So the challenge with creating shorts is that they're vertical videos. So a normal widescreen HD video is 1920 by 1080. A short is 1080 by 1920. So you have to take this video and kind of squeeze it into a different frame. And so what I end up doing is I have this video up here. This is the full video from yesterday. And I take it and I find little pieces that I want to cut out. So here's one that I cut out from yesterday. Let me know if you can hear it. Cool. Nice shirt, Dan. Good Ted, our good friend Ted here. I am wearing this on purpose. I know that Deshaun is part of the committee, the selection committee for KCD, and I know there are some other folks out there who are on the selection committee, and they're still working through these proposals. So I'm doing this a little bit on purpose. I'm trying to flaunt some gear here, maybe get a little sympathy votes my way. So I'm okay with that. I have no pride. All right, so that's the clip. You can see here, I've already done this. I've marked an in and out, so you can use the keyboard shortcuts I and O. So you can mark an in and out, and all I do is I come down here and create a new sequence. I create a new sequence. I've set up a shortcut or a preset for YouTube Shorts. So I have a YouTube Short preset, and I'll just call this KCDC. I'll click OK. Now that I have my sequence and my clip selected, I can just hit comma and it gets inserted. From here, I can just say, all right, let's go ahead and expand this out a little. And here. All right, and then you can go ahead and do this. So I have this like view that I could see. So what I need to do with that is I need to go ahead and increase the size. So I'm going to get that up to there. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to put myself in the frame. And if you're new to editing, once you have like your clips on the timeline, now like you want to get really good with keyboard controls. Keyboard shortcuts, because doing it with the mouse will take forever. So you can hit spacebar to start playing it. You can also hit L to like speed it up. And then you can also use some keyboard shortcuts to like start clipping things. So I don't even have to look at the picture anymore. I can look at like the audio and see, okay, my audio is starting here. I can use Q to kind of trim that all the way to the start. And then I can just go through here. All right, and then, so I have no pride. And then I'll go ahead and cut it off from there. So that's it. This is a 30-second clip. I will add some stuff in here. I just had one about Rust too. So I've been putting some graphics. I'll show you the other one I did. Open. Let's pull this one up. So I had this graphic. And I'll go ahead and copy that. It did not let me do that. So this, and then I would go ahead and put this down here just to like cover up those graphics on there and to like give some branding to the show. So like here's spring office hours. So I'll probably fix this up, but Then you can go ahead and just drag this and it will go the whole time. Nice short, Dan. So that audio is also peaking. You can see it over here peak a little bit. So one thing you can do is hit the audio gain and just say, hey, I'm going to make sure that this doesn't go above -3. And you can see that go down a little. And now that won't peak. So yeah, just, oh, really low sound. Sorry, I just saw that now. Let me see if I can turn the system audio up. How about now? Cool. Nice shirt, Dan. Jitter Ted, our good friend Ted here. I am wearing this on purpose. I know that Deshaun is part of the committee. So there's that one. Let's keep listening and see if we can find anything. Calendar. So one place we like to start is calendar.spring.io. If you're not aware of this, it's a release calendar for Spring projects and the entire ecosystem. So you can come in here and check out a grid. You can check out a list of just kind of what's happening. So we are here on Tuesday, February 21st, almost to March. This is great. Lots of stuff happened this week. Some exciting things. So Spring authorization server, we had a couple releases, one of which is 1.0.1. You know, some people never like to kind of take 1.0 for a spin. They kind of wait for that one release to get all those little bugs kind of out of the way. So here you are, Spring authorization server, big project in our ecosystem. Go ahead and check that out. You'll also see Spring GraphQL 1.1.2, one of my favorite projects around. Just some minor bug fixes there. So I'm going to just move through this. This is why doing this the day after is really good, because I still have the show fresh in my memory. Oh, this might be good. Let's see. You saw us, Deshaun, but
somebody did.
So I might do this. This is going to be tough, though, to... Let's just, we'll mark it anyway. So to mark, so now I'm watching this clip up here. I think I might use this, but I don't know yet. I'm going to mark an in, so I'm going to do I, so it marks it in, and now I'm going to play this. There we go. So we've been talking a lot, well, at least I've been talking a lot about ChatGPT. I know I got you kind of involved in some things, doing some things with ChatGPT.
We were talking about ChatGPT on the way here.
All right, yeah, so I did a little experiment where I kind of like said, okay, let's see if ChatGPT can build us a Spring Boot application. So it isn't like you just feed it a line and say, build me an entire like to-do app, right? It's not going to do that. But it does, like, I found it like really helpful in a few certain places. Like, it gave me a list of steps on how to build like a Spring Boot application, like a REST API. And it would like lay out the like high-level steps of what you should do. And then you could dive into each of the steps. Okay, write me the code for that particular step, and then we'll help you write that. So again, I think we've talked about this a number of times. I don't see it replacing any software developers anytime soon. Maybe in the long run, who knows? But you know, our job is not writing code. Our job is working with people in requirements and figuring out like, what a project should look like. So I thought like just having that as another tool in your toolbox as a developer is a pretty cool option. So had some fun building that. Okay, so that's probably too much, but I'm going to mark a O, and let's see if this is going to work. So this is the really tough part about, oh boy, close panel. This is the tough part about making YouTube shorts from long form content. You know, I consciously go into every show going, okay, if I answer a question, let me see if I can answer it short and then kind of expand on it so I can use the create a YouTube short from it. But you only get a minute. So if it's longer than a minute, you got to find a way to cut it up. So let's create a new one. We'll call sequence. We will say this is ChatGPT. Once I have a sequence and I'm on my clip, again, I have my in and out, so I can just hit comma and it will paste that into my timeline. And you can see that this is 1:14, but that's okay. We could probably cut that down.
Dan, I liked your ChatGPT video on the Spring Boot project. Great job.
There we go. So we've been talking a lot. Well, at least I've been talking a lot about ChatGPT. I know I got you kind of involved in some things, doing some things with ChatGPT.
We were talking about ChatGPT on the way here.
Okay, so I think I'm going to try and cut this here. So I'm going to go Q. And right away, I could see that we are closer to a minute. That's good. All right. Yeah, so I did a little experiment where... All right, so I'm going to try that. I did a little experiment. Okay, that's much better. Let's try and grab this in, see if this will look good in frame. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go to Effects. I'm going to scooch us over. Maybe we could blow Deshaun and I up and just have us like in frame. That would be pretty cool. I like that view. I haven't done one like this yet. So this would be kind of cool to have. All right, I like that. Let's see if it looks better. I did a little experiment where I kind of like said, okay, let's see if ChatGPT can build us a Spring Boot application. So it isn't like you just feed it a line and say, build me an entire like to-do app, right? It's not going to do that. But it does like I found it like really helpful in a few certain places. Like, hey, give me a list of steps on how to build like a Spring Boot application, like a REST API, and it would like lay out the like high level steps of what you should do, and then you could dive into each of the steps. Okay, write me the code for that particular step, and then we'll help you write that. So again, I think we've talked about this a number of times. I don't see it replacing any software developers anytime soon. Maybe in the long run, who knows? But our job is not writing code. Our job is working with people on requirements and figuring out like what projects should look like. So I thought like just having that as another tool in your toolbox as a developer is a pretty cool option. So. All right, so I think we can cut this off right here. And we are at 59 seconds. That is great. Now, I blew this up pretty big, so you could see it's like a little bit grainy. Let's see what it looks like full. 100%. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great because I had to like zoom in so much. But maybe we'll use that. Cool. So that's kind of my process on this. Once you have these, you can, as long as they're under a minute, you can just export them out. So you can export them. I just export them into a folder, and then you can upload these. So I'll probably continue to do this today. I won't bore you guys with this process anymore. I'll come back to chat, see if we have any more questions to answer, and we'll call it a day. Whoa. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So this was fun. Yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to learn this software a little bit more and the things that I can do with it. So I apologize if that music's a little loud. It's a little loud for me. Let's go back to here. I love that background. Cool. So if you're new, if you're just joining us, I see we have some people in the chat room still. So that's cool. Thank you for joining me. I'm just testing out some stream today. I'm using Ecamm to stream this. Ecamm is this really great software for the Mac. I'm trying to get used to it because I'm used to using StreamYard, which we use for our Spring Office hours. And so I'm just getting familiar with this. And when I do, I'll start streaming more and we'll start doing some more coding stuff. So today I've just been showing anyone who is interested in going through my process for cutting up a Spring Office Hours show into shorts. So the idea is hopefully to get a few nuggets out of there that are less than a minute. And then I can go ahead and push those onto my YouTube channel. And the short form content really just helps with driving interest in your channel. So I just want to let people know about Spring Office Hours and the things that we talk about on the show. So those are what the shorts are there for. I want to do some more shorts for just my channel in general, but I've got to prioritize things. So, all right. If that is it, if you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. This was a very impromptu stream. So thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to come up with a little bit better schedule, and obviously we'll make things more coding focused around here. But I think really what I'm going to use this opportunity for is what am I working on? So I'm always working on some piece of content, right? Like I need to learn this thing. I need to put together a demo for this video that I'm working on. I need to put together an article for a video that I worked on or for the Tanzu Developer Center on particular topic. And so I'll use this to go through that process. Like, I hope people don't think that YouTube videos are just like a dump of knowledge into a video and then it's just done. Like it takes time. I have to go through and learn things. Like I wish I knew all the things that you think I do. So when I'm preparing to put together a video, like I have to go through and, okay, what is the demo that we're going to build? What are some things that I need to know to point out? And so I think these streams will be like the behind the scenes stuff. Like, okay, we're going to learn Hilla today because I need to put a video together on that. So let's learn it together. Let's learn what are the getting started tips? What do we need to do? And then, yeah, I think that'll be the fun part. So I do a lot of that. So I'll see if we can come up with some kind of schedule on how to do that. And then we'll go through that. Are you planning on a crash course too? No, but I am building a paid course. So I have the free course on YouTube now, which is almost 4 hours long. The spring crash course. I'm working on a course working title right now, Learn Spring in 30 Days. So the idea is, can we go ahead and share my screen? Let's do this. Let me pull up Notion. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's go back to this view. So the question is, are you planning a crash course too? So no, so I am working on kind of a follow-up to that, where we just go a little bit more in depth and you can learn Spring Boot in 30 days. And so here's my outline. This is what I have so far. I have not started recording any videos yet, but I'm going to start doing that today, I think. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. So we'll go through about this course, like what are you going to learn, what should you expect, prerequisites, that kind of thing. So I've divided this up. This is a 30-day course, like learn Spring in 30 days, but not 30 days in a row. I figured let's do this in 6 weeks so that you could do like a Monday through Friday. Then there'll be an exercise that you can do over the weekend, and just not to like burn out on this. If you do 30 days in a row, like that might be too much. So I want to like take you through like, okay, let's take this week. We're going to learn about some of the core stuff. What is Spring? What is Spring Boot? Creating a Spring Boot project, structuring your code. All this stuff was in the crash course, but we're going to go a little bit deeper into like structuring your code, beans in the application context, definitely a little bit deeper, and dependency injection a little bit deeper. And then, okay, here's an exercise to work on over the weekend and reinforce what you've learned this week. Week 2 is Spring MVC. Again, same thing from the course, but go a little bit deeper. Then you have an exercise to kind of reinforce what you learned. Spring Data, pretty similar, but I plan to do a little bit more with like Spring Data repositories. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to use Spring Data JPA this time instead of JDBC. I like JDBC, again, for anybody getting into something and learning something for the first time. JDBC is just an easier way to get into Spring Data. JPA, if you've not worked with Hibernate or ORM, can be a little bit overwhelming at first. Once you understand it, it's great. Once you understand why you need it, it's great, but getting into it can be a little overwhelming. I think I just answered my question again. But this time we're going to get into Spring Security. So I'm going to be building a blog application. So that REST API is going to allow us to save posts, create them, read, update, delete, list, etc. Then we're going to have a client. I'm going to give you the client. We're not going to build that in this course. We're going to do that in another course when we get into Spring Security a little bit more in depth. So the Spring Security part is, okay, up until now, every blog post has just been, give me all the blog posts. But now I want to introduce a user, like who's the author of this blog post. So when I log in, I can only see my blog posts. I can only create blog posts for my blog, etc. So we'll introduce Spring Security. We'll go through like saving users into a database, how to use JWT from like a client, and then I'll have an exercise for you to go through yours. Conversely, we also didn't cover testing in the crash course, so I'm going to add in some testing. Everybody has different opinions on testing. There's TDD. Should we start with the test? And while I don't do it, I do agree with it. But from a course perspective, I just know I'm going to lose a lot of people if I say, all right, welcome to this course. Let's learn how to write tests first. People get bored with that, and retention will not be great on the course. So we've gone through all this. Now let's learn a little bit about testing. We'll talk about unit testing, integration. Slice tests, if you don't know, in Spring are amazing. They're ways to test like a vertical slice, and they're much faster. We'll also cover test containers, and then I'll give you an exercise. And then we'll move into production. So configuration, profiles, actuator, different ways to build it. Now let's go ahead and push this to a production platform. And the exercise will now be to go ahead and do this with something you are interested in. Take some other project and push it out into production. I'll leave you with a bunch of resources and some closing remarks. And that's it. That's what I have so far. Let me know if you're interested in that. But that's what I'm thinking. This looks great. Thanks. Eagerly waiting for that course. Oh, thank you so much. Wow, that looks amazing. Awesome. This course starts on YouTube, Dan? No, this is going to be a paid course. So it won't be that much, though. I'll probably launch this on Udemy because I haven't been on Udemy. So you can get it for 10, 20 bucks. Not much. This is a paid course. But again, not much. I don't want to I really wish I could get in touch with somebody at YouTube. I would really like to put this on YouTube as a paid course. They have a product coming this year called Courses. It's actually available in India already, I think. I saw Naveen did a course on Java on YouTube India. So I think that's available over there. It's not available here yet. When it does, I would like to keep all these on YouTube. So yeah, but Udemy, I like it because I don't have to, I'm not good at the marketing stuff. I don't have the audience of a Josh Long or a Wes Boss. I don't have that audience. So for me to put out a course and put it on my own platform, there's a lot of marketing involved, and it's just a bunch of stuff I don't want to go through. I just want to make this content and get it out there. And the reason that I'm going to charge for this one is because I need to make a little bit more income to put back into my video production. So I hired some video editors, found out that I quickly cannot afford them. So I want to make a little bit of money just so I can put this back into the video editing and produce more videos for you guys ultimately. So this is not going to Dan's eat a steak every Friday night fund. And I don't eat a steak every Friday night, but this is just going to hopefully create more content. So that's why it's going to be a paid course. But again, on Udemy, shouldn't cost that much. So if you want to sign up for this, danvega.dev/courses. I don't have it on here yet. /spring30. Go ahead and drop your email address here, and I will let you know when it is done. So danvega.dev/courses/spring30. Udemy is an awesome platform. Definitely, we will learn on that platform. Awesome. Yeah, we would love to support you. That's awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You guys are the best. So there's that. All right. So here's another question. How soon can we expect this course to launch? So, like I said, I'm going to start recording today. This is not going to be every single day, all day. I still have things I'm working on at work. And again, this is work, but I have priorities at work, I should say. I have a conference coming up in April that I have a couple things that I need to work on. I have a presentation beginning of March on Spring Boot 3 I'm working on. So things will come up that will kind of derail progress on this, but I'm going to start today. I'll probably knock out week 1 today, at least record. And then I got to figure out if I'm editing it, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. Again, I don't know if I really have the budget. I think if I handed 30 videos over to my editor, it'd be about $3 or $4 grand that I don't have to hand off to somebody right now. So I'll probably end up doing this myself. So with that said, I could probably knock out 2 weeks this week, 2 weeks the next week. So I don't know. I would say 3 to 4 weeks. This will probably be done. Maybe sooner if I get a little ambitious on it. So not too far, but not tomorrow. Cool. So again, if you want to sign up here. I will send you an email when I'm close or when I'm done. And then if you want to get caught up on everything me, head over to my newsletter. Put your email address in. Here are some of my latest newsletters. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out there. And just a whole bunch of free content on danvega.dev. So cool. That's great. Please consider streaming on Twitch also. Very few Java devs there. Interesting. So I've streamed on Twitch before, maybe not with this. I don't have an audience on Twitch. So anytime I stream on Twitch, I get like 1 viewer. And I guess 1 is, that's great. Somebody's taking time to listen to me. But yeah, maybe I need to give it another shot. So maybe I'll do both. I know I can publish to both. So. Will this course cover Spring 6 as well? Yes. So we will be using Spring 6, Spring Boot 3. Anytime I get to point something out that's new in Spring Boot 3, I will absolutely do so. Okay. I think this is where I'm going to end it today, folks. Thank you for joining me. Again, this is a little bit of an experiment. I just wanted to test out the streaming software, play around with it, see how it worked, see how the quality is. I'll kind of watch the replay and check that out. But please, if you're not, I think you probably are if you're watching this, but if you're not, subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@danvega. And I will schedule these a little bit farther in advance next time. Again, this was kind of an experiment for this morning, but we will work on getting a schedule together for that. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you, friends. As always, happy coding.